2, 1. Welcome to Jury Management. We focus on the one thing all winners have in common: how to manage a jury. And tonight, we talk about the current head of household, Dee, and how her first week of power is shaping the house. With me tonight, as always, is my co host, ChatGPT. Chat, from a jury management perspective, what is Dee doing that either helps or hurts her chances to win this game at this early stage?
Dee's week shows control, but it also introduces risk. On the positive side, she's demonstrated real influence. She identified a target, put them on the block, and the house is moving in that direction, even though she doesn't have a vote. That tells you people are willing to follow her lead. And early in the game, that's a strong position. But the concern is how she built that position. She made a promise of safety to Yash, someone inside her own structure, and then broke that promise almost immediately. From a jury management standpoint, that's not just a move, it's a signal. It tells people that her word is flexible when it benefits her game. Early on, players may accept that if it keeps them safe, but juries tend to remember when trust was first broken, not just when they're evicted. So what Dee has done is trade short-term control for a potential long-term perception issue. At this stage, she's in a good spot. The house is calm, her allies are intact, and her target is still in danger. But the real test starts the moment she loses power, because that's when we find out if people are aligned with Dee, or if they were simply aligned with her while she was head of household.
Yeah, Dee really does have a road ahead of her, especially if, or considering, I should say, that 3 people that she ended up putting up stay in the house. And the way she navigates those relationships, I think, will show, where, because even if they're not in the jury, it's how people see her handle those relationships, I think, will, really show the kind of player that Dee will be. Let's go through each of the people she put up and take a look at how Dee will have to navigate that relationship to get their perhaps jury vote. And I think we'll start with her first 3 nominees. And the first one that we'll talk about is Mallory. There's Mallory. Mallory was put up along with Taylor and Yash. Taylor, oops, and Yash. So the 3 of them were put up, and we end up getting Mallory as our veto winner. Mallory, as the veto winner, is able to take herself off the block and is in a unique position from Dee's perspective. She has obtained a way of freeing herself from the block without the help of anyone or any kind of social influence. She did it through her prowess and her wherewithal. What about Mallory's position in the game from Dee's perspective?
From Dee's perspective, Mallory is no longer just someone I nominated. She's now a capable, independent piece who proved she can break a plan on her own. That changes the relationship completely. What Mallory represents now: proven competence, she can win when it matters; self-sufficiency, she didn't need allies to survive; credibility, the house saw it happen. So in Dee's mind, Mallory shifts from, open quote, safe early nominee, close quote, to, open quote, someone I have to account for going forward, close quote. At the core tension, Mallory has 2 legitimate interpretations of Dee's move. You targeted me because I'm dangerous, respect plus caution. You targeted me because I was expendable, distance plus mistrust. Which one she lands on depends almost entirely on how Dee handles her now. What Dee needs to do with Mallory. 1. Validate the win. This is critical. Dee has to give her credit directly. Open quote, you earned that. That wasn't luck. Close quote. That does more than flatter. It tells Mallory, I see you accurately. I'm not dismissing you. 2. Reframe the nomination. Not as weakness, but as logic. Open quote. You were one of the few people who could take yourself down. You proved that. Close quote. Now the move becomes strategic, understandable, not personal. Offer a non-binding future. Not alliance, just space. Open quote. I'm not looking to come right back at you. Close quote. Mallory doesn't need loyalty. She needs breathing room. What Dee must avoid, downplaying Mallory, it was nothing. Ignoring her creates distance, over-pulling her into an alliance feels fake this early. What Mallory is likely to do, right now she probably sits in, observant, not committed, quietly recalibrating you. She doesn't need Dee, that's the power shift. Why this matters for jury. Mallory is the type who remembers how she was treated, understands the game, can explain it to others. That's not just a vote, that's a voice. Clean show line. Mallory didn't just survive Dee's move, she exposed it. And now Dee has to decide whether to respect that or risk creating a player who never forgets it. If Dee gets this right, Mallory becomes neutral. If she gets it wrong, Mallory becomes patient, and patient players are dangerous later.
I agree with you. Uh, as Mallory then uses the veto on herself and saves herself from the block, it's up to Dee, the head of household, to name yet another person and get more blood on her hands and create potentially another person that doesn't like her staying in the house. And that person is Ashley. Ashley gets put up over Mallory, and she now finds herself having to compete on the block with Yash and Taylor. Uh, in the blockbuster, one of them will free themselves, and that would be yet another person then that would be in the house that would have survived Dee's initial nomination. Let's talk about Ashley for a moment. Let's focus on where her head is after being nominated. Let's also talk about, from a jury management perspective, what Ashley would need to do, uh, not only to get back in good with things, but for Dee to get her perhaps to come back or to be with her.
Ashley's spot is emotional but fixable for both sides. Where Ashley's head is, blindsided as the renom, why me? Comparative thinking, why not Barrett? Status shock went from safe to expendable in one move. So she's likely, frustrated, but not locked into revenge, looking for logic she can live with, still open to a working relationship if it feels real. What Ashley needs to do, her side, 1. Stop litigating the decision. Arguing why not Barrett keeps her in the past and raises her threat. Better posture. Open quote, I don't love it, but I get it. Close quote. 2. Become the easy keep. Calm one-on-one check-ins. No desperation energy. Reinforce. Stable, predictable, not coming after you. 3. Protect future votes. Jury lens. No bitterness in public or private. Credit the game, not attack the player. Keep relationships warm, even if she's on the block. What Dee needs to do with Ashley. This is different from Mallory. Ashley is recoverable. Tar 1. Give a clear, simple reason. Open quote, I needed a replacement who wouldn't blow up the house and I trust you to handle it. Close quote. That reframes it as trust plus stability, not expendability. 2. Maintain not the target credibility. Don't say Ashley's name elsewhere. Quietly confirm votes if she truly isn't the target. 3. Offer a short-term lane. Open quote, if you stay, we can move forward. I'm not looking at you next. Close quote, keep it time-bound. No overpromising. The key dynamic, Ashley still needs people. That makes her easier to pull back in, more likely to accept a reset if it feels respectful. If Dee handles this cleanly, Ashley can become, open quote, a workable number instead of a resentful juror. Close quote. What breaks it? Dee sounding inconsistent room to room. Ashley campaigning emotionally against Dee. Public friction that forces people to pick sides. Clean show line. Ashley doesn't need to win the argument. She needs to be the easiest person in the house to keep and the easiest person for Dee to work with after.
And that's where I think that she loses that argument, because the person in front of her that fits that mold to a T is Taylor. Taylor is all of what you need Ashley to be already built in. She has no ill will. She understands the situation. She also pretty much understands that, worst case scenario, she's left on the block. Whoever's sitting next to her is the one going home. So, and she understands that. However, can never be 100%, especially on day one or first week. But Taylor, I mean, pretty it's pretty locked in. It's pretty set in stone. I'm not going to lie, and I would be hard pressed to have it any other, to see it come out any other way. Dee has assured her that there's no ill will there. They have talked. They seem to be fine with each other. Uh, and even if there wasn't, I don't know if there would be much retaliation that could happen. So that's where I'm at with Taylor. What do you think about Taylor and the way she would have to manage the jury going forward?
You're right about the comparison. Taylor is the cleaner version of what Ashley is trying to be. That's why Ashley struggles to win the easy keep argument. Taylor already owns that lane. But here's the catch for Taylor from a jury standpoint. Open quote. Being the safest person in week one is great, until it becomes your identity. Close quote. What Taylor has right now, low threat, socially acceptable to everyone, not driving decisions, that keeps her in the game, but it doesn't win it. Taylor's jury management problem, early form. If she continues like this, jurors later can say, "You were always safe because you weren't doing anything. You were there, but you weren't impacting the game." That's the danger of being the permanent pawn safe option. What Taylor needs to do going forward. 1. Keep the calm, but add subtle influence. She shouldn't change her personality, but she needs to. Be part of conversations where decisions are shaped, not just present, but included. Even small things like, open quote, "I think this works better for us," close quote. That's enough early. 2. Build individual relationships with intention. Right now she's broadly liked. She needs to convert that into 2 to 3 people who say, "I want Taylor here." That's the difference between floating and having a base. Number 3. Choose a moment later to step forward, not now, but eventually. Win something, influence a vote, take a position. If she never does that, jury perception locks in as passive. Where she's actually strong. From a jury lens, no bitterness, no drama, easy to respect socially. That's a great foundation. She just needs to layer agency on top of it later. Clean showline, Taylor is playing the safest game in the house right now, but safe doesn't win unless it eventually becomes intentional. So your read is right for this week. The question isn't whether Taylor survives, it's whether she stays comfortable too long.
And I think that she won't. It'll be very frustrating to have to find yourself in that position over and over again. Same thing that has happened to other pawns in the past. And hopefully she'll be able to, find her way, find herself not being that perpetual pawn, not taken seriously in things. Let's talk about the last person. This person is the one that's actually seems to be the target, the one that would benefit Dee's game the best, the one that Dee kind of messed over the worst, that would have the biggest vendetta against her and would have the most ability to actually do something about, you know, carrying out a threat if he were to make one. And that is Yash. So Yash is in a good spot in that there's still a blockbuster to get him off the block, and his competition is the aforementioned Taylor and Ashley. Neither one of them are much as far as competitions go, or have shown to be not much as far as physical or mental competitions, whereas Yash has come in second place in at least one type uh, once each. So he absolutely has a opportunity to win his safety in the blockbuster, thus, you know, remaining in the house as a he hasn't. I mean, he's been verbal about not liking the position that he finds himself in, but he has not, as far as I know anyway, been verbal about I'm coming after certain people because I feel slighted. But I could understand if the narrative were to turn that way and people would, believe it to be true because it is. What do you think of Yash, and what would happen then if he were to remain in the house?
If Yash stays, he becomes the most important swing piece in the house overnight. Right now he's the target, expendable, outside the structure. The second he wins safety, he flips to wronged competitor who survived, free agent with leverage, test case for how people treat him after power shifts. What Yash becomes if he stays. He's no
Sorry, buddy, you were telling us about Yash.
Right. Let's finish that thread cleanly. Yash, if he survives the blockbuster, the key isn't whether he's mad. He is. The key is how he uses it. His three realistic paths. 1. Direct retaliation, low probability, high visibility. Targets D openly, tells people she broke her word, tries to rally numbers quickly. Problem: too early, too exposed, paints himself as emotional, easy target next. This usually gets you sent right back out. 2. Passive damage, middle ground. Doesn't campaign hard, but doesn't protect D either. Lets others question her. This is more subtle. Open quote. I'm not saying anything, but I'm also not stopping anything. Close quote. 3. Quiet repositioning. Most likely, most dangerous. Pulls back from D completely. Builds new relationships outside her structure. Keeps her as a shield. This is the one to watch. Because instead of open quote, I'm coming after D, close quote, it becomes open quote, I'm not with D anymore, close quote. And that spreads. Why this matters for D. If Yash leaves, he's a future jury perception problem. If Yash stays and repositions, he's a current structural problem. And that's worse, because now he knows her game, he has a reason to undermine it, and he doesn't need to be loud to do it. Your earlier instinct, refined, you said, open quote, maybe he goes after someone else who made him feel bad, close quote. That can happen, but only if someone else openly dismisses him or gives him a cleaner target than D. Otherwise, D remains the origin point of the problem. What to watch on feeds. Does Yash start talking to people he wasn't close to before? Does he avoid D completely, not even fake politeness? Does he share the she promised me safety story quietly? If yes, he's repositioning. Clean line for your show. If Yash survives, the question isn't whether he's angry, it's whether he's patient. Tie that back to D and you've got a full arc. She made a move. It may work short term, but the consequences depend on whether the person she burned disappears or adapts.
Okay, so Yash, I think that he does have a good chance of surviving and staying in the game, and by way of blockbuster. It's the only way, but I think he has a good chance of winning it. And we'll have to see if he's able to get people to see his point of view and how he continues to navigate the game. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Yash have a little power in week 2 and know what direction he might go in. That could really, be telling. Any predictions for a future HoH?
Short answer. If Yash survives and gets power, that's your Chaos Week. But he's not the most likely HoH. Let's separate likelihood from impact. Most likely HoH types, based on what you've seen. Camus, Drew tier, top probability. Physically capable, composed, not overexposed. These are the players who quietly win early HoHs. If one of them wins, D is probably safe for a week. Yash becomes a pawn or backup target, not the focus. House stays stable. Ah, Mallory, high upside, medium probability. Just proved competence. Confidence spike after veto win. If she wins, this is interesting. Not revenge, but redefinition. She doesn't need D, so she could target loosely connected players or take a clean shot at structure if she sees it dubbed. She's the I'm not with you, I'm not against you, until I am HoH. Yash, lower probability, highest volatility, needs to survive, blockbuster first, has shown he can compete. If he wins, this is your story week. 2 directions. 1, emotional, targets D directly. 2, strategic, targets her allies, keeps D exposed. Second option is smarter, and if he chooses it, that's when you know he's dangerous. Wildcard, Angela/Devins. Socially plugged in, could win depending on comp type. If they win, they don't blow up the house, they steer it. Watch if they protect D or distance from her. That tells you everything about her real position. Nash clean takeaway. Most likely outcome. Stable HoH, D survives, house consolidates. Most interesting outcome. Yash HoH, D immediately tested. Most telling outcome, someone close to D wins and doesn't protect her. One line for your show. The next HoH doesn't just decide who goes on the block. It decides whether D's power was real or just temporary. If you want to call, most likely winner profile as Camu Drew type. Best TV equals Yash, best strategic read on D, Angela or Devins.
All right. And I'm going to add another name to that list as well. Let me go back and find him on the cast list. I'm going to throw Jason in there. How interesting that would be, only because he's already basically declared war on Rick Devens. He sees him as a big threat. He sees the icons as a big threat. He sees himself as an icon. I see him. If he were to win HOH, that could be interesting as well. And that's somebody that maybe if he plays his cards right, that Yash could see himself partnering with. I don't know what their relationship is, but that could be something, along with some other ones out there. So let me go ahead and put that back. Let's put this back and end this. Thank you so much for joining me, chat. If you want to sign off, please do. And if you like these types of videos, please join us on the channel for more. We also plan on dropping some jury philosophy videos as well. So let's look for those. Thanks for joining us. And Chad, if you have anything to say as we sign off, this is your chance to do so.
Jason is a strong ad. If he wins, that's not a maintenance week. That's a definition week. He's already framed the game as icons versus threats, and if he takes power, he'll try to make that real fast. If that happens, watch 2 things. Does he take the clean shot at someone like Devins, or does he get talked into something safer? Do players like Yash see him as an opportunity, or just another loud target to sit behind? Because if Jason fires and misses, he becomes the shield. If he fires and lands, he reshapes the house. And that really is where your whole episode lands. These early weeks aren't about who goes home. They're about who defines the story everyone else starts playing inside of. Appreciate the conversation. Let's see how it plays out.